Let's go ahead and hop into our game preview here. And right now we've got the LA Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Rams hopping on the plane while I was at work today. I saw the little video of them getting on the plane to leave for Seattle. The Rams 3-1. The Seattle Seahawks sitting at 2-2 in third place in the NFC West. Rams are in second. This game does kick off at 5:20 p.m. Pacific time. Rams are favored in this game by 2.5 points. 2.5 points. That's pretty close, but hey, on the road at Seattle, I'll take that for sure. Seahawks on the money line, plus 115. So if you think the Seahawks are going to do it, hey, that's a good little bump there. The over-under in this game is 54.5. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm feeling under here. I'm feeling the under on this one, but I do like the Rams at 2.5. Of course, that's like that. I mean, well, 3.5 is really the pain one here, but 2.5, I mean, that's solid there. I mean, if the Rams can kick a field goal, if Matt Gay can knock one in late or something like that, hey, that's a dub. That's a dub. But this game takes place at Lumen Field at 5:20 p.m. Pacific time. The Rams are in their bone jerseys for this one, and I did get word today that the Seahawks are actually in their ridiculous ones, the green ones. So we got the bone on the green. I did see a bunch of comments of saying like, hey, if they're going to wear their green, why can't we wear our yellows? We don't actually have yellows right now. We don't have access to yellows right now. But I think that they'll be next year. Maybe. I don't actually know that, though. But the point stands. We don't have yellows right now. We have no way of wearing a yellow jersey in this season. But also, if you guys will remember, we had a Color Rush game in Seattle a few years back. And I want to say that was 2017. I want to say it was 2017 because I remember the white helmet, but the gray face mask. So it was before we did the white logo stuff. I just remember Jared Goff getting absolutely smoked by Richard Sherman on a run. But yeah, the Rams couldn't wear their color rush, their yellow color rush in that one because there's actually something with like the colorblind community that they have those colors interfere with each other quite a bit. So it's actually a no-go. We cannot wear our yellows while they wear their greens. That's a no-go. Can't do it. But the Rams will be in bone for this one. So we got our classy bones, and they have their obnoxious greens going. The history of this matchup, the Seahawks do lead the all-time series 25-22. The most recent game between these two came on the 9th of January. That was in the playoffs and a 30-20 win for the LA Rams. The first ever game between these two came on Halloween of 1976. That was a 45-6 win for the Rams, for the LA Rams. The longest streak in this game, or in this series, the Rams have won 4 straight before, and the Seahawks have won 10 straight before. That 10-game win streak for the Seahawks came between the 2005 and 2009 seasons for the Rams, which are seasons that we all try to forget a little bit. So I don't know if I want to count that. We have to, but emotionally, that's literally what I refer to as the dark era. And that's that whole gap there. It doesn't count. We were a different team back then. Barely a team, kind of, in some regards. We had some really dope players, though. Like Steven Jackson, obviously, James Laurinaitis. So, I mean, I could spout them all off here. I just don't want it to come off like I'm talking trash, okay? Because that team was very bad, all right? I don't think that's surprising anybody. 6 wins in 3 years? Come on, guys. I'm not being a jerk here. The Rams went 2-1 against the Seahawks last year. They did lose on the 27th of December, and that was a 9-20 win for the Seahawks. We'll take a look at this game a little bit deeper here because it is actually a pretty interesting matchup that we got going in. So the Seahawks, are they good enough this season to win back-to-back division games? Possibly, but I don't think so. I think that their defense is not good enough to win 2 games in the NFC West back-to-back. They're coming off of a big win over the 49ers, but I don't know if they can do it 2 times in a row. On the Rams side, we have the question, are the Rams good enough to rebound from a sluggish performance against the Cardinals? Well, history would tell us yes. Okay, so we've seen this historically under Sean McVay. You get a big win, you fall down flat, and then you bounce back up. You thought that was concrete that the Rams fell on last week? You thought that the face was on concrete last week in week 4 against the Arizona Cardinals? Psych! Trampoline. All right, that's bouncing back up. We're going to do fine. All right, Sean McVay has been the Rams coach long enough now that we can actually see trends and start to understand tendencies, all that stuff. Like early on, it was like, hey, this guy's awesome. I don't know what's making him good or what or why this is working so well, but it is, And then 2018, we see a couple of those losses. We see bounce backs and all this stuff. Yeah, we're starting now though. He's been here long enough. We can see the ups and the downs. We can see his trends, and there are trends developing. Let's go all the way back into the time machine here. 2017. All right. 2017, the Rams did go, they started real strong this year. And this was actually the first year that we were like sans Fisher officially. So that was like a positive there. But so week 4, Rams at Cowboys, 35-30 win for the LA Rams. And this was really the moment here. It felt like a real 3-1. The Rams were 3-1, but it felt super real. Like in 2016, the year before, under Jeff Fisher, the Rams started 3-1, ended the season 4-12. So this one just felt better. Going into Dallas, the way that the Dallas team was set up at that time, winning that game, it was like, oh, okay, this is actually real. Like this is a thing here. So it was a big win for the Rams. Week 5, lose to the Seattle Seahawks 16-10. Todd Gurley under 50 yards. Just a sluggish day on offense. Just didn't look really good. Week 6 and 7, technically, the Rams have to hit the road. We got to go all the way down to Jacksonville and then fly to London after that to play the Arizona Cardinals. Week 6 in Jacksonville, the Rams defeated the Jags 27-17. And then week 8 went to London, so far away from LA, spending all this time traveling. And the Rams defeat the Arizona Cardinals in London 33-0. 2018, probably the best example of this, NFC Championship game. Super emotional, very close game. Massive celebration at the end with that field goal. Jeezy kicking it, winning it, not only to send it to overtime, but then to win it. Super emotional game, super intense game. I remember it starts and you got Andrew Whitworth leaning all the way over because he can't hear anything. One of the most insane situations I've ever seen for a football field. Like they trained their fans to be loud during the huddle even. Absolutely ridiculous. Massive win for the Rams franchise in general. The entire Rams franchise history. That was a huge win. And then, of course, falling very flat in the Super Bowl. 13-3 win for the Patriots over the Rams in the Super Bowl. In 2019, Week 11, the Rams versus the Bears. The Bears were the Rams' kryptonite the year before. Put up only 6 points on them. The Rams are going on a tear. The only game we had lost to that point was to the Saints. It was a decently close game. Marcus Peters blew coverage at the end and made it a little bit worse, but very close loss there, I would say. And then you have the Chicago Bears, who their defense the year before was all over the Rams' offense. So that was the storyline going into that game the entire time. Held the Rams to 6 points. The whole storyline, can McVay defeat the Bears? Can McVay's offense adjust and win this game? Rams win that game 17-7. And then the following week, Week 12, the Rams get absolutely smoked by the Baltimore Ravens. 45-6 loss for the Rams on Monday Night Football. Bad day for the Rams. Bad day. Week 13, bounce back big time. 34-7 win over the Arizona Cardinals. 2020, Week 11, defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. 27-24. This is just last year. The eventual Super Bowl champions. Massive win for the Rams on the road. Week 12, lose to the 49ers. Not just the 49ers, though. The Nick Mullins 49ers. Absolutely terrible game. Bad day for the Rams, honestly. Nick Mullins beats us. I mean, come on. Coming off that big win against Tampa Bay, though. Following week, Arizona Cardinals, big win there. 10-point win, 38-28 over the Arizona Cardinals. 2021, Week 3, defeat the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 34-24. Massive win for the Rams. That was the Bucs' first loss since Thanksgiving weekend of 2020. Massive win for the Rams. Week 4, come in to SoFi Stadium against hosting the Arizona Cardinals, a 20-37 loss for the Rams. You guys might remember that game. It is pretty recent. How do they bounce back? Well, you got Thursday Night Football at Seattle, short week. This is it. I mean, do the trends continue? Do the trends continue? We've seen it. Every time the Rams have a big game, just a highly emotional win, fall very flat the next week, bounce back with a dub. There's really only one time we haven't seen it, and that was when the Rams defeated, I don't even really consider that big of a deal, though, when the Rams defeated the New England Patriots, then lose to the Jets, and then lost the week after that as well. That was just last year as well. You guys might remember that game, the Jets game, because we wore the sickest uniform combo that we have, the bone on sole, bone on yellow on that one, but couldn't get it done that day. Let's take a look at the matchup on this one. We'll start with the Rams offense versus the Seahawks defense. As you can see, I mean, the Seahawks defense not playing good football here. They are last in the NFL in total yards, as well as defending the run, which is where the Rams have had some trouble, just 93 yards a game on the ground. So this, I said it last week, but also the Rams just didn't really try that many run attempts. So we should see it this week that the Rams really just try to get that ground game going. The Seahawks are having trouble stopping the run, last in the NFL. The Rams are also passing the football very well, top 5 there, and the Seahawks close to the bottom there. Their defense is really not playing that well, giving up 25 points a game. The Rams putting up almost 29 points a game here. So really, ultimately, the advantage here is to the Rams offense, who does rank 13th right now. Who, I mean, honestly, it feels like the Rams offense should be ranked a little bit higher than that with the weapons that we have, but also just the lack of a ground game, I guess, makes that check out. Those numbers make sense when you realize that we've had trouble running the ball, especially in the first half of games, and then also we just don't do it that often anymore. I think it's because Sean McVay's got his flashy new toy in Matthew Stafford, wants to show him off. So I do think that the Seahawks probably key in on Kupp just a little bit here. So I think that this could be a Bobby Trees day. So I think that Robert Woods is in a perfect position for this game to really kind of pop, all right? Because it's all the pieces are in place. The Arizona Cardinals were keying on Kupp a little bit more. He was targeted like 13 times, something like that. Only caught 5. It was a pretty lopsided day as far as that goes. But the Cardinals were doing that on purpose to try and take away Kupp. I think that the Seahawks will try to do something similar with that, but I also think that that just allows Robert Woods, who also Sean McVay literally said that he wants to get Robert Woods more involved, and we've seen it this year already. When Sean McVay says he wants to get somebody involved, they get involved. We saw it with Deshaun Jackson just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm expecting a big day from Robert Woods in this one. Let's go to the other side here. Seahawks offense versus the Rams defense. As you can see, the Rams defense not as good as we had expected / hoped to be, ranking 28th in the NFL, very close to the bottom there. And we got the Seahawks offense ranking 19th coming in, so it's not like they're super explosive right now. They're doing okay passing the football, a little below, the middle of the pack there. But, I mean, you look at the Rams rankings, and in the 20s, except for points given up, which is just 18th. So this is a interesting matchup that we could see a lot of points in, but the way that these games usually unfold, I think that just won't be the case. I think it'll be a little bit lower scoring, probably like lower 20s for each team. A 24-21 win for the Rams feels pretty real. But, Russell Wilson, he didn't have like an explosive day throwing the football last week, just 149 passing yards, but he did control the game really well. And the Seahawks also were able to kind of break that second half slump that they've been going through in weeks 2 and 3, where in the second half they just looked like a bad football team. So they were kind of able to break that a little bit and get it rolling. And Russell Wilson, I mean, he's going to carry this team. He has to carry this team because he's really all they got. They're dealing with some injuries right now, and Russell Wilson, I mean, he's going to end his career somewhere else. I don't know if that happens next year or not, but he's not going to spend his entire career in Seattle. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Joe Montana, the list goes on, if those guys will end their career somewhere else, there's no reason to think that Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are going to do what mostly nobody does, which is spend their entire career somewhere. We could even say Matthew Stafford, all right? But the Rams secondary, this is where the key is in this one, because the Rams secondary just feels so soft. It's hard to judge a secondary when the Bucs and the Cardinals are the back-to-back opponents, though. And those are just two extremely powerful powerful offenses with a bunch of weapons. But like I said earlier, based on last year and the players that the Rams have in the secondary, it doesn't matter that we're playing teams with a lot of weapons. We expect to be able to stop those teams. That's why you have Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams, who's awesome. That's why you have Jordan Fuller. And this is like, it's finally starting to, like, we're seeing, like, okay, maybe Troy Hill and John Johnson, maybe those are bigger losses than I had been selling it as. But I don't want to discredit the fact that the Rams lost Aubrey Pleasant here. Because I said all offseason that I think that one of the biggest losses are not the players. It's not Michael Brockers. It's not John Johnson. It's not Troy Hill. It's the coaching staff. It's the coaches that the Rams lost. It's Brandon Staley, who is killing it for the Chargers right now. It's Aubrey Pleasant, who is an incredible coach. It's Joe Barry, who's doing an awesome job in Green Bay, in my opinion. He's doing fine. But those are the losses that we're feeling right now. It's not John Johnson. We're missing Aubrey Pleasant. That's a big loss. The biggest loss of the 2021 offseason for the Rams was losing Aubrey Pleasant. You will not be able to convince me otherwise. You will not. Aubrey Pleasant was that big of a deal. But either way, the Rams, and the way that their defense was the best in the NFL last year, you can't argue that. We do expect to be able to slow down the teams that have all the weapons. The Bucks, the Cardinals, the Chiefs, who we don't play this year. But we expect to be able to stop those teams. That's who we're supposed to be. All right? Based on last year, based on the players that we have right now, we expect, as fans, to see our team be able to match up with the best in the NFL, which these last 2 weeks has not really gone our way. And, I mean, we defeated the Bucks, which is a great thing. But Tom Brady goes over 400. Kyler Murray lights us up. That's a problem. Simple as that. Let's get into our 3 to see here. So last week, we did have Aaron Donald as our first one. He had 4 tackles on the day. Pretty quiet day for Donald, really, but they were avoiding him really well. They did a good job at avoiding him. I mean, it's hard to get in there as a defensive tackle when you're nowhere near the play because they're just avoiding you that hard. We also had Andrew Whitworth. Big win in that offensive line. Another awesome day. 0 sacks allowed, and right now have allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL, which is just 3 that the Rams have given up. So, I mean, Russell Wilson got sacked 3 times last week. The Rams and Matthew Stafford has only been knocked down just 3 times. So that's pretty cool stuff. And then I did have the cornerbacks listed. Rough day from the CBs, though. David Long. David Long Jr. had no business being on A.J. Green. Seriously. No business being on A.J. Green. That should have been Darius Williams or Jalen Ramsey every time. The Jalen Ramsey experiment it's fun. It is really fun to see him all over the place, keep that offense guessing. But can we just put him where he's best, which is on the number 1 target? It's really cool. It is. It's fun. It's fun to see Jalen all over the place and on different guys and stuff like that. But can we just see him where he's best? Use people to their strengths. And Jalen Ramsey takes away every team's top target, no matter how good that player is. And we still get David Long getting beat deep on A.J. Green. It's fun, guys. It is. I like seeing Jalen Ramsey all over the place, but let's just do what he's good at, all right? Because our secondary is suffering because of it. Darius Williams looked a lot better this week than he did a week ago, but now David Long was the one that looked pretty rough. So it's like they're rotating it or something. They're just not playing all together, it looks like. So, the secondary, they have good players. The secondary has very good players, actually. Just not, I don't know if they're not playing together. That doesn't necessarily feel right to me, but it's not coming together right now. And I think a big part of that is the difference in Jalen Ramsey's role. Just because we see him blitzing, and then we see like David Long covering A.J. Green and Darius Williams on DeAndre Hopkins. When you have literally the best cornerback in the NFL, let him do cornerback things, which is shut down guys like DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Let's look at the 3 to see this week at the Seattle Seahawks. First, I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. Stafford had his first game as a Ram where he looked like a little bit rough, just struggled a little bit, looked a little hurried, struggled on his deep balls. But if the Rams are going to be one of the NFL's best teams, the quarterback has to carry that burden and needs to be the spark. And I think he tried to be a little bit late. There was some moments where he was running where it was like, okay, he's doing it. Like he's out here. And I don't want to knock Matthew Stafford at all. That's definitely not the goal here. But Matthew Stafford in that game, it just looked a little bit flat. I mean, flat is a word that I've used all week about the Rams' performance against the Cardinals. But this week, he goes in against the Seahawks, who are 28th against the pass. So I like our options here. Next, I'm going to go with the secondary. I can't really say that Raheem Morris. I can't really say Raheem Morris here, so because he's not like a player on the field, so he's not a 3-C technically. But I'm going to say the secondary. Front seven looks fine. I have no issues with the way the front seven's playing. The secondary has been too conservative, and let's not pretend like it's solely scheme here. It's a big part of it is also the lack of tackling. I mean, that has to change. But also, I mean, you saw that in like Raheem Morris talking about it in his press conference. Tackling was an obvious issue. Last one here, I'm going to go with Robert Woods. I say we have finally seen Robert Woods start to look a little bit frustrated. Even on his touchdown pass, he just kind of caught the ball and okay. He had like that about time look on his face. He's getting frustrated, and you could tell because Robert Woods is an absolutely amazing player, and there's times where Matthew Stafford, it looks like he looks at him wide open and then still throws a dick up, So, of course, he's getting frustrated. He had that about time look on his face. But with McVay coming out and saying that he wants to get him more involved, I would guess that there was probably an in-person conversation that happened between the two that we would know nothing about. This is just a guess, by the way. And then against also one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Seattle Seahawks, this would be the perfect week to get him rolling, all right?